Hey, what's up, guys? Mr. S here. I just kind of wanted to do another short video, kind of going over our AIM stuff. Today, I want to do a video over self as context. So I want to look at a couple other ways that we kind of view ourselves other than self as context alongside it, just so we can kind of understand self as context better. The first one I want to look at is self as process. So in self as process, you're kind of looking at yourself from the viewpoint that there's no self inside. Okay, there's no self that's built up to this point. Basically, what creates that self is any process that happens here on forward. So you're going to experience meeting someone that's going to build to your self as process. That's kind of the way to look at that. Whereas like self as content is more like the opposite of self as context. Where in self as context, we're looking at our thoughts, our feelings, anything we've experienced, not shaping, the way we're thinking. Whereas if we're thinking as far as self as content, we're letting those, the labels that we've created, the experiences that we've had, those are kind of shaping the way we're thinking. Okay. So one thing I kind of want to go over is why it can be so hard to kind of distinguish between self as context and self as process. And the reason I find it so hard is that it's just such an abstract way of thought. You're not generally going to go into a situation thinking of yourself as, not experiencing the things you've experienced, not having your thoughts or feelings. That's just not normal. So kind of looking at yourself from that aspect is just difficult, in my opinion. The self as process, that one is really tricky for me. Essentially, you're kind of like, everything inside me isn't real. Like, it's not there. I'm basically anything that's going to happen to me from here on out. All right. So, 25, 26 years of experiences, nothing. If I'm looking at myself from a self as process standpoint, nothing. Just anything here on out is going to make myself. Okay. I know that may sound confusing. Maybe I'm not saying it right, but that's kind of like the when I look into it, that's kind of like how I think of it. All right. So lastly, I just kind of want to do a little practice to kind of help combat that those muddy waters between self as context and self as process. So what I want you to do is I want you to just sit down in a chair. You don't need anything. You don't need a pencil or any paper, nothing like that. Just yourself in a chair. And what I want you to do is I want you to sit in that chair, okay? And while you're sitting in that chair, what I want you to do is I want you to notice yourself. I want you to notice yourself sitting. You're sitting in a chair, the way your body's positioned. Are you hunched over? Is your back straight against the chair? Stuff like that. I just want to notice yourself sitting. And then as you're doing that, what I also want you to do is I want you to notice yourself kind of like an out of body experience. I want you to notice yourself, kind of think of yourself, look at yourself from a different point of view, yourself sitting there. Okay. So try to imagine yourself sitting in that chair and noticing yourself sitting in that chair. It's kind of an abstract thought, but this is kind of how we're going to kind of break that, clear, like I said, clear those waters between self as context and self as process. Like the process is we're sitting in a chair, but if we're looking at ourselves from a self as context, we're just kind of looking at ourselves like sitting in that chair is not an experience that's shaping us. We're still a being. We're still that being. We're still that self. So hopefully this is able to kind of help you guys. Just doing my best, try to explain the best I can. If you guys ever have any questions or anything, you guys can reach out to me. Hopefully these videos are kind of helping you out. All right, Mr. S out.